Station Houston on 2, we're 1 minute from the event. Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, I'm ready for the event.
European Space Agency and participants, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Tina with Rumsnak. How do you hear me?
Got you loud and clear. How do you have me?
Hej Andreas. Vi har virkelig glædet
Hi, Andreas. We've looked so much forward to today. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy day. We have a lot of questions if you're ready to go to get started. I'm very ready. Welcome to the space station.
Tak for det, Andreas. Lad
Thank
os
you.
komme i gang. Vi kaster os
Let's get
direkte
started.
på det første spørgsmål.
We have the
Det skal
first
jo handle om
question.
forskning i dag. Så hvorfor
This is
mener du,
about
at
research
forskning
today.
i vægtløs tilstand
Why do you think that
vigtigt, og
research
hvilke
in
aspekter af
zero
vægtløshed
gravity
centrale, når man forsker
is important,
på
and
rumstationen?
which aspects are central when you are doing research at the space station?
Jamen, det er et godt spørgsmål. Altså,
That is a very good question.
Der er jo nogle ting, som bare kan lade sig
Some
gøre
things
i vægtløs
can
tilstand,
just
som er meget svært.
happen in gravity that you can't do on Earth. If you want to study how cells form and how they propagate and create organs, it can be proteins, metals that crystallize. When you do that on Earth, it's a two-dimensional network that this happens in. If you study cells in a slide, they create three-dimensional organs in our body, but in zero gravity, they grow in a different way in zero gravity. Gravity is a very big power, very force that overshadows some of the things that we are researching, some of the processes. Some of the up here, the gravity does not overshadow the huge force. Andreas, when you have to do research up there, how much time do you have to prepare?
Jeg har næsten ingen indflydelse på dem.
And how much influence do you have? I have almost no influence. These are researchers from all over the world. And then people at NASA go through them and review them and select the ones that will have to be done here with us, that we have to perform them. Even if we do the research, we are more like lab technicians that perform research for researchers on Earth. Even if you don't get to decide yourself, you do have a scientific background yourself in aerospace engineering. Which aspects of your education do you use in your daily work as an astronaut?
Altså det der er vigtigt, det er at man har en
The important thing is that you have a very good understanding for the natural life sciences.
Fordi alt det vi laver, det handler om
everything that we do is natural sciences and life sciences, techniques, tools that you are using to that you use to carry out an experiment. All of it requires a fundamental understanding of life sciences and natural sciences. It's very important you have that background. It doesn't have to be aerospace engineering, but as long as you have this foundation, you will be okay as an
Med
astronaut.
sådan en STEM-baggrund, så er der sådan et ønske, som rigtig mange
As
har.
a
Jeg ved, du har
scientific
fået Niels Bohrs Nobelprismedalje
background,
med
I
i
know that
rummet.
you have
Har du,
taken
ligesom
the
jeg selv,
Nobel
haft
Prize
en
medal
drøm
from
om at
Niels
vinde
Bohr
Nobelprisen der?
with you to the space station. Do you have any dreams of winning such a medal yourself, Nobel Prize?
Jeg er helt sikkert et konkurrencemenneske, så
I am a very competitive person, so yes.
Det er selvfølgelig en fornem pris, så det er også
it's a very distinguished prize. It's something that I've thought about sometimes.
Og har du den med til vi kunne se medaljen, Andreas?
Do you have it with you? Did you bring it so we can see it, or did you hide it away?
Den ligger stadigvæk. Den har jeg ikke taget med. Den kom med handsker.
It was delivered with gloves. It's very valuable. I did not bring it out. I take very good care of it. That's okay.
Til hverdagen, Andreas.
Back to your daily work.
Stort laboratorium.
ISS is like a big lab. How much of your day is spent on these experiments that researchers all over the world and from Denmark have asked you to perform?
Det er et godt spørgsmål. Altså, jeg vil sige,
that's a good question.
En hel mission på et halvt år, så
I'll say that over 6 months, a mission of 6 months, it's about half of our time. It varies greatly. This weekend, we will receive vessel number 29 that carries with it a lot of research, which means the next month or so that they are up here, we will spend about 100% of our time on the research, because a lot of that, the SpaceX delivery vessel, Dragon, is the only one that can bring our research back to Earth. So it will always bring a lot of research with it up here. And we have to then carry it out while they're here so that the researchers can get their results back to their labs. So the next month will be completely filled with research. Then at other times we have to prepare for a space walk, and we don't spend so much time on research because we have to prepare for the walk. So just about a little more than half of the time is a big amount of time that you spend on research. When you start a research or an experiment up there, how does that happen? Practically, what do you have to do? You have to take out stuff, you have to bring out tools, what do you do? How much preparation do you have? Do you have to follow a manual of some sort?
Alt er planlagt for os.
Everything is planned for us. As you can see, there are so many different items up here, cables, computers, machines. The space station is so big and complex. It's impossible for us as astronauts to know what everything is and how everything works up here. When we have to get something started, we follow a procedure. And we follow it from one step to the next. And it depends on which experiment it is. Sometimes we have the researcher with us that guides us if the experiment is a very complicated one that we're doing. And the complicated researchers or experiments is related to another question we have from a listener. He wonders which one of the experiments that you're doing is the most complicated one right now.
Ja, det er et godt spørgsmål. Altså, vi
har brugt
rigtig mange timer på at
We've just spent a lot of hours doing maintenance and upgrading an experiment.
Som er et forsøg styret af
it's an experiment guided by an experiment in California.
Altså, det vil sige, atomer,
they are researching atoms that are frozen to the absolute point of zero. It's a very, very complicated experiment, but it is being guided from Earth. Our participation is only for maintenance and upgrading. They've spent a lot of time making it ready for us and get it up and running. And then once that does, it's very automatic. So it very much depends on what kind of experiment we're working on. We also have a question from a listener, Andreas Mogensen, who is here also. He wants to know how cooperation works with researchers on Earth. And we know it depends on the experiment, but how many of your experiments have live researchers on Earth guiding you as you're carrying them out? Sometimes there are,
med at bruge vores life sciences glovebox, altså hvor vi
if we're using our life sciences glove box,
og i gang med at,
if we have our hands inside the glove box, and we are looking at observing cells, something we're not experts on ourselves, sometimes we will have a researcher on Earth who will follow what we're doing on video and talks to us and guides us, helps us through it. There are other experiments where we carry it out and send the results back, and then we get feedback for when we have to do it again. And then other times, it's very easy, just pushing a button, turning it on, and then the equipment will run on its own.
Og når du så laver alle de her forsøg, Andreas,
hvor
meget har du egentlig, der er jo virkelig mange af dem, ikke? Men hvor meget har du egentlig mulighed for at sætte dig ind i den forskning, der ligger bag de her forskellige eksperimenter eller studie? Og hvis du begrænset i, hvor meget du har mulighed for det, er det sådan en udfordring i, at du kan udføre dit arbejde?
Is it a challenge for you to carry out your work?
Altså heldigvis forskere er jo
Fortunately, researchers are very passionate about their research and really want to talk about it and describe it. So we do have a very good possibility to understand it. It's more a question of time. And then it's up to us how interested we are in a particular experiment. But yes, we do get background information so that we know what we're doing and what is happening. The difficult thing sometimes is to follow the results because it can be experiments that last multiple years and we just do a little fraction of it. So we don't always have an insight into the results until they are published later.
Så ved du, hvad du skal lave, når du bliver pensionist engang, Andreas.
Then you know what to do when you retire one time. All the research results that come from your own experiments. We also have a question from Paul, who is from
hvordan det føles at sove med deres udstyr, altså den her søvnmåler ude i rummet, sammenlignet med
research, and he asked, what does it feel like to sleep with this equipment in your ear in space compared to what it's like on Earth?
Har jeg ikke haft nogen problemer med at sove i rummet.
Generally, I have not had any problem sleeping in space. I sleep just as well up here as I do on Earth.
Eksperimentet Sleep in Orbit
This experiment, Sleep in Orbit, is probably a little more comfortable up here than on Earth, because on Earth, I usually sleep with my ear on my pillow, and sometimes the device will push in on my ear, and it can be a little painful after a few days. You can be a little sore, but up here, because there's no gravity, you don't have your head on your pillow, it's a little bit more comfortable up here. There are some benefits being in space, I guess. Let's continue. Which research results that you are familiar with up there, which results do you think have been the most interest and have the most relevance to life on Earth?
Ja, altså rumstationen er jo
the space station
et forskningslaboratorium, men
is a research lab,
laboratorium, hvor vi kan
but it's also a lab where we can prepare for the future and space station's missions further into space. Where it makes the biggest difference to me is for us to acquire the knowledge to go back to the moon and stay there for a while, and later on to send people to Mars. That's where I think the space station can play a big role, even if it doesn't sound as if it's something that is determining for our society on Earth. I still think it is. I think space will be playing a very big role in the future, much bigger than it does today. I think we will have more activity in space with people traveling to the moon and onwards to Mars, maybe further in the future. And I think that the knowledge and the technology and the science we get to know and use up here will play a significant role in the future. I think the space station is the first step on our travel into space, further into space. And I think space will play a big role and be to a big benefit for us in the future on everybody on Earth, for everybody on Earth. I have some follow-up questions. This is from our listener, Maj-Britt Vishov. If you could design a research experiment yourself and carry it out up there, what would you like to investigate?
Og der er mange muligheder. Altså nu kommer
there are very many possibilities. I have a background as an engineer, and what really interests me is closed-loop life support systems, something that we can use when we travel further into space, where we minimize all our resources so that everything is recycled, is a important key technology for the future that I'm interested in. Now you mentioned the moon, Mars, and you've said several times that you would like to go to the moon and to Mars. But we know now that the exciting thing is being in zero gravity. If going to the moon and Mars, what are the experiments that you think you would like to do? What do you think would be interesting to be a part of? You can say that the moon and at the moon and Mars, we want to understand how the moon and Mars have developed over time, how there are very few rocks or types of soils left from when the Earth was created. These rocks from the very early times on Earth have disappeared and have these still exist on the moon, and it's very important to protect and study the moon so that we can understand more of how the Earth and the entire universe was created. So we can study the evolution over time on the moon. And the Mars has also changed very much. 3-4 billion years ago, where it was probably a lot more wet and hot than today. So the moon and Mars, they are the experiment in themselves. Now we've talked about research and experiment, and we're talking about zero gravity, but there are also other experiments on the space station. The fact that you have this overview of Earth, that you can see it from the outside, is that a different type of research that you're performing? Or is that part of your day? Some of the experiments use zero gravity. Others use the fact that we are in orbit around the Earth. The space station is in an excellent place to observe the Earth. It's very exciting. The experiments that we can do looking down on the Earth, looking at the moon from up here. On the first mission, I did the Thor research, and I had to study these mega lightnings and take photos of them, and take photos of the moon to understand how much of the sunlight is being reflected back into space.
Og Andreas, vi kunne jo snakke med dig hele dagen og mange timer endnu, men vi ved
We
også,
could
at du
talk
har en
all
meget
day
hakket dag.
with you,
Så jeg tror
but we
bare,
also
at
know you
herindefra
have a
vil
very
vi
busy
sige en
day.
ting til dig.
So from here, we would just want to say one thing.
Og sige tusind tak, fordi du var med os her
Thank you
live
so much for
SDU.
being with us live today with the Southern Danish University, SDU. You're very welcome, and I wish you a very good conference. It was very nice to talk to you.
Station, this is Houston ACR, and that concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants from ESA. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.